your host, and I have a very special guest who's I am very honored to have with us, and I really look forward to getting her insights on how we're going to plan and get the advertising plan done right for the Q4 because the consumer power at the moment is not looking very good, and we have to plan for that as well. And then you have to plan for the events as well. So that is a topic that I'm very interested in right now, and I've seen a lot of people requesting me for this topic, and I have the perfect person for the topic, and hopefully she can introduce herself as well. Elizabeth, over to you.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here. Happy to talk about Q4. It'll be good.
Of course. Elizabeth is the co-founder and CEO of Junglr.
Yeah, technically
Yeah.
co-founder. We haven't put labels on it yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Not very soon, or not yet, I guess. Or do you guys
Yeah, so
not
it's
have
still technically
labels?
co-founder. It's between me and my husband, we
Right. Right.
figure out what the CEO role looks like, I guess.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I would just actually like to start with the introduction of Junglr. So
Yeah.
I got introduced to Junglr from the very good video that you had on bulk files. I got
Yeah.
into like that video was where I learned bulk files like 2.5 years ago, and I
hmm
would really love to for you to introduce Junglr to our audience as well.
Yeah, definitely. So hi, my name is Elizabeth Greene, co-founder of Junglr. In a nutshell, we are an Amazon advertising agency. Very hands-on. We like to get knee deep in data. So if you're looking for someone who takes a more nuanced and very specific, account-specific approach, we might be able to help you. We might be a good fit. And yeah, that's us in a nutshell. Pretty much handling that.
Right.
I
Right.
dove into bulk files. Love them. When I was starting out, figuring them out. Formatting is super important for bulk files. If you're not aware, it's a way to manage your ads through spreadsheets, basically.
Right. Right.
Formatting is important, but if you don't know the formatting, it's a struggle to figure out. And so that's where I think a lot of people found me is when I went through the struggle and I turned around, I was like, nobody else is talking about this, so I guess I'll talk about it.
Right. Right. Yeah. So starting off with the very first question,
Mm.
how did the Prime fall go? And because we haven't seen that kind of a response, because this was supposed to be a second Prime Day, some people call it that. But how did it go for your clients, and what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely went well. We did see like increase of traffic on the platform. We were always expecting sort of an increase. The variables, of course, were like, how much is that increase? And then how much do we have to pay with that increase? And does that translate to better profits? That's really was the crux of the issue. I think everybody was expecting to have increase in sales. Everyone was slightly worried like how much they were going to have to pay in ads for those sales. So depending on what the strategy was for our brand, some of them we just kind of ran status quo because they weren't really interested in pushing a whole bunch of coupons and things. Very similar to what we saw with like the last Prime Day. Anyone who ran any deals typically saw better increases. If you weren't running any deals, no coupons, no nothing. You probably saw elevation, but it's not going to be the same, like astronomical, amazing screenshots that people are posting all over, Chrome
Right.
about. So we saw kind of a mixed bag. Again, overall, I would say where there was a general increase, and then overall for our brands, depending on how aggressive we went, profit margins may or may not have been a little bit less that day. Honestly, for some of our brands, it was greater. But again, that spike in sales probably about evened it out.
Right. And if I was to ask you in terms of the last Prime Day, do
Mm.
you think the increase were similar, maybe something less?
It was definitely less. I kind of followed the same curve, but yeah, again, it's a bit different. And I think that was just due to like consumer behavior. It's like a second Prime Day. People are interested, but how interested? I heard probably some good commentary on LinkedIn, and I can't for the life of me remember from who, but their overall feedback was wondering if having a second Prime Day and then calling it Prime Day almost cheapened what Prime Day was. It feels like an afterthought. It does kind of feel like a sales grab, if we're being completely honest. So how much like consumers actually reacted to that, I think we're seeing post Prime Day or post Prime Day 2 or whatever you want to call
Right.
it. It was a little bit lackluster, but I think all of us going into that, at least I kind of expected it. Like, we're anticipating increases, but we didn't anticipate as much. And then the other thing is that the Prime Day deals themselves were only opened up to actual Prime Day members, which means that I was actually kind of surprised. Like, even my sister, I was talking with her. She was like, "Oh yeah, I shop on Amazon, but I don't have a Prime account." And I was like, "Really? You don't have a?" Okay, that's. I guess there's still people out there who do shop on Amazon a lot, but don't shop enough to really bother with a Prime Day account
Right.
or a Prime Deal account. So, you kind of missed out as far as like actual Prime Day deals. Some of those were missed out by those shoppers. So the overall shopping pool, I would say, was also smaller.
Right, right. Okay. I guess my experience with the clients that we manage is very similar as well. I was actually talking to an Amazon rep, and just we were talking about how the Prime Fall went, and he said that internal reports, which may or may not be official, actually told them that the pricing below 25 saw a much better increase than the high ticket products. I guess that also fits in with the consumer behavior part as well, right?
Mhm.
So yes. So now coming on to the next question, coming off the Prime Fall, one question that was asked in your last session that we did on the Amazon advertising Q4 as well was that why is Q4 the hottest time of the year? Could you repeat that answer again? That was very helpful for people.
Yeah, definitely. It's honestly just due to consumer behavior. Like, there's a reason why the American market is so huge. I mean, it's obviously that we have a really dense population, but there's other countries out there with large populations. So it's not just that, it's like the intense consumer behavior of the American people, as well as like going into like seasonality, primarily Christmas. People are traveling for the holidays. So even around Thanksgiving, like there is this whole gift giving aspect of it. And like, again, it remains to be seen what will happen this year just due to the current economic climate. But I would say overall, like you even have like a whole segment, and somehow it's also somewhat socially normalized to like go into debt, like massive credit card debt over the holiday season and then like pay it back over the year. Honestly, I don't get that mindset. It's not really wise if we're being honest, but it happens, and it's in
Right.
some sense like socially normalized. So you get that whole like buying frenzy aspect, and Amazon has become like a very premier marketplace to find everything. So you might say, oh, I'm gonna get a gift for my mom, so I'm gonna go to the mall, and maybe she likes perfume, and then I'm gonna go get a gift for my dad, and it's over here. And like everyone's running all over to stores, and there's like 20 different stores you have to go to, and then you go to the one, you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get for like, trust me, I like, as a shopper myself trying to give gifts, you're like, oh man, I forgot about this person, I forget about this person. And so Amazon offers like a one-stop shop that you can just buy, and you don't have to buy it all in one swing. You're like, oh yeah, I need to get for mom. Okay, oh crap, I go get 2-day shipping. Let me just, go to Amazon. I can figure it out. So it
Right.
offers this like very unique, like one-stop hub marketplace. And then also sellers have been conditioned. The deals are quite good. Like as far as pricing versus like in-store retail, it's about equivalent for most items. So consumers not only are confident that they're getting good deals, but they're confident they can find pretty much whatever they're looking for. So this kind of creates this huge hub of influx of shoppers, and then shoppers who are already like actively looking to purchase.
Right. Thank you so much for the complete explanation. And I guess let's put our focus back on the advertising side of things from the consumer
Mhm.
side for now. So, how to effectively budget for Q4? Because as I understand, if the shoppers are coming in, then probably we're going to have an increase in traffic.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we're going to also have an increase in CPCs as well. So, how
Mhm.
do you budget that into your normal spending budget, let's say?
Yeah, definitely. And it really does depend on our brands and what we're looking to do. Some of them are more profit conscious, and for those ones, we'll probably take a more nuanced approach. We're going to want to be much more I want to say tight, but much more cognizant of where our bids are and then watching those very frequently for those that are not getting the ROI that we want, and we'll probably be much more conservative, where other brands that are, fit very well into the holiday shopping, they're very giftable products. They might be giftable within their own spaces, maybe not necessarily like gift for moms overall, like gift baskets, items that people generally would think of a good gift for a friend or family members. So for those ones, we'll probably be more aggressive. The name of the game is really balance and understanding what you can afford. So knowing what your margins are is going to be really huge during this time. Watching your numbers much closer. So there are some sellers, if they're managing themselves, they might check it once a week, once bi-weekly, I've heard sometimes, which is also great. I mean, we definitely check our accounts daily, but now it becomes much more important. So if you are someone who maybe you have your PPC routine weekly, I would recommend stepping up that routine. Even if you don't go in and make changes weekly or a couple times a week, at least check it to identify where that happens, because things move very quickly during this time. And it's very easy for things to kind of spin out of control. Or if you're only checking weekly, it's so easy for things to get away from you.
Right. Yeah, because with more shoppers coming in, you're going to get the data much, much quicker than normal days. Okay. So could you take us through how the events take place in Q4? So for now, we're in October right now. What events are coming up and what sellers need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, definitely. So typical cadence, if you have anything Halloween, of course, like you just said, you have a limited window until that season ends. And then after Halloween, there's kind of a lull. There's kind of like funky lull times within it. But then we're going to hit, what is it? Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that kind of time. Do expect conversion rates and overall traffic rates to decrease a couple days before. So it's going to be very, very similar to kind of like these jumps leading up to Prime Day, where everything kind of just dies down, and then all of a sudden you hit the upswing of traffic. So do expect and plan for that. I would not be raising bids or budgets before these days happen. You want to raise them day of, but then that sort of influx in traffic, again, it kind of funky consumer behavior is everyone's programmed to okay, I got to get through Halloween. Okay, I got to get through Thanksgiving. And all of a sudden they go, crap, Christmas. I got a month to buy 20 gifts. And then everyone rushes to the stores and tries to figure it out. So that's what you're going to see in consumer behavior. Beforehand, people might be searching for deals, but then there's also this kind of programming of consumers to really expect the deals to happen on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So because they're expecting deals on those days, they might hold off on actual purchases. They might be just adding it to their cart to see if a deal pops off during those times. So again, expect kind of that lull. And then that sort of launches us into really peak holiday shopping season. So after that, again, expect conversion rates to be great, but also expect increases in cost per clicks and increases in clicks. I have a whole video I'm going to put out, but the increases in cost per clicks are not because Amazon hates you and they're trying to take your money. That's not why that happens. I want to be clear about that. Now, I'm sure Amazon is very happy about the ad dollars that happen during Q4. Don't get me wrong. They're very excited about it, but they're not the one pulling the levers to say, hey, you have to pay more for this now. What's happening is your competition is noting that visibility during this time is really, really valuable. And what they're saying is, okay, I'm willing to pay more during this time because I know the amount of shoppers I can get in front of. Also, typically the shoppers convert better. So I'm willing to pay more because my ROI is still going to be roughly the same. And so they're willing to pay more. And that's just the market during this time. It's again, increase the cost per clicks. It is what it is. But you do want to, again, kind of plan for that. So again, just keep on top of things. Name of the game is, if it's working, do more of that. If it's not working, don't do that.
That's one liner of PPC pretty much.
Yeah, across the board, but yeah.
Across the board, yeah, pretty much. Okay, so I'm going to lay a very broad question in front of you. So first of all, should we launch in, let's say if a new brand is coming in, they have a good product line, but they are coming up with a new product, let's say.
Mhm.
and assuming that it's a new product, so their previous product line is not going to help them, in cross-selling or upselling on that.
Yeah.
So we have a new product coming in, and they have to launch. Is Q4 a better time than other quarters for launching? That's one. And what are the pros and cons of it?
Yeah, I don't think it's better. It's just different. The climate's a little bit different. For
Right.
some products, like if you have a giftable product that only has very small windows of peak, like there's some gifts where it's like your entire year is made by like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas. And like every
Right.
other time it's like kind of,
Yeah.
up and down and not really anything. Those times, yeah, you're probably going to see much better results if you launch during Q4 than if you did during the summer. But I'd say for most products, again, it's just going to be that it's more expensive to run ads because higher cost per click, a lot more people clicking. So what you
Right.
want to do is, one, assess what you can afford. Looking at what your actual budgets and what you can afford is super critical at this time, because if you launch super aggressively and you can't afford to continuously run that, you just kind of wasted that money. Where if you got different, if you leverage that money to get a different data set or test different things, you probably would be able to, use that data going forward a lot more efficiently. So I would say you're still going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to focus in primarily on where you have identified your product fits in the market. You want to identify the keywords that your exact shoppers are searching for. For instance, if you are selling, I don't know, shot glasses, you don't want to target drinking glasses. It's not the same thing.
Right.
People are searching for drinking glasses, they're not targeting shot glasses. Although shot glasses is probably not a good example because alcohol related, and I'm not sure if you can advertise that. But something like that. Like, identify where your shoppers are searching. Probably take a look at the search volume. Now, search volume will start to spike in Q4.
Right.
So it's going to be kind of relative. You probably want to look at the search trends and see, is it on the up and up, or is it on the down, or what does that look like? And then recognize if the search volume is on the accelerated trends, you're going to get accelerated clicks on that one.
Right.
Accelerated clicks. Spend is cost per click multiplied by clicks. And so you can run that evaluation. There's no shame in starting with 5 to 10 keywords and saying, this is what I can afford. I'm going to strategically deploy my product directly in front of shoppers that I know should resonate with my product, and this is where I'm going to put it. I'm not going to go everywhere. I'm going to go here. I typically like that as a launch strategy anyways, but it becomes even more efficient when you're talking about high traffic times.
Right. Yeah. We had a product which was a wine gift, and we were actually lucky. We delayed our inventory. I think it was last year, and we got the inventory on December 13, pretty much available. And by that time, almost all of the top sellers were out of stock. So we had one of the easiest launches in there. But then again, if they were in stock and spending on the top of their guns, we would have been in for a storm. So
yeah,
completely agreed on that. Thank you so much for explaining it in a much better and explanatory method. So, okay, so we can launch it. It's different. It is high traffic. Hopefully, we can get a pie of that, of a bigger pie, let's say. Then the next question becomes, how does a PPC plan varies with the price of the product, if it varies at all?
Yeah, and it definitely does. So there's going to be this tension with any product, but it happens even more with lower price products. Is that the tension is what I can afford and what I would like what are my profit margins for. So for instance, if you say I have 20% profit margins on this product
Right.
over here. So maybe I do the math on my conversion rates and I can afford a 50-cent cost per click. If I really want to hit 20% ACoS, I need a 50% cost per click. But oftentimes there's this tension with the market. If the market is telling you you have to pay $1.50 for the cost per click, you can't, I call it you can't rage against the market. You're just shaking your fist and saying this is not fair. It gets you nowhere. So there is this so what you have to do is you have to find the balance. Where can I try and get 50 cost per clicks? Where do I convert well enough that I can afford $1.50 cost per clicks? And that's the game you're going to have to play. And that game becomes more difficult if it's a lower price product. So for instance, if I have a product that's $10, 20% of $10 is going to be much less than 20% of $50. It just is. So that's like your additional budget that you can afford on like marketing and everything else if you at least want to break even. And that's a whole nother ball game. Do you run above a break even, below? That's honestly the brand's decision. That's less. There's so many things I say are less ad strategy. They're more business decision. So those are more business decisions. But that's why it's more difficult. It's a numbers game. It's not that the low price products are bad. Sometimes at the end of the day, like because your margins are slimmer on low price products, it's just a volumes game often. So then you just gotta find a way to play the game.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot on this actually. So if you had to launch a product for your own brand, I don't know if you own a lot of brands, but let's say if you were to, what price point would you think would be ideal to launch on Amazon?
So that's another depends question. And that's one, it honestly goes more into product research. Then actually, like that should have been figured out before you launch. Like that should be calculated into your number. I mean, okay, so I did a consult with somebody who was interested in having us launch a product. And honestly, I ended up just passing on the brand because anyways, it just wasn't something I wanted to deal with. But the calculations were done. And a lot of times it's not that the math isn't right. So for instance, they did, okay, so I have cost of goods of this, I have this, I have this. If I want to get this number of profits per unit sold, I need to sell for this. And so it's like, all right, I need to launch in the market with this. The math is not bad, but again, there's the tension on what does the market, how is the market going to react to that price point? Doesn't matter if you want to sell at that price point. If the market doesn't want to buy at that price point, you're dead in the water. So I could say like my best launch price is going to be one, even if I have a break even, if I've screwed up my cost of goods and my break even is going to be, what, $10 more than what the average is in the market, I'd rather either have some really dang good photos or I need to go figure out my cost of goods. So, I mean, again, it's one of those, it probably doesn't give people a good, hey, here's the number. You want to watch 20% below the average in the market. And then, this is going to help. Every market's going to have its nuances. But what I will say is, again, you got to ride that tension between what can I afford? What is the market actually going to be okay with? And then I will say there is places for premium products. I have seen it before, people selling $20 above what the average in the market is because they have carved out that space. Their images were dang good. Their copy was on point. When you go to a listing and you're like, oh, that's a brand. There's people who are like, oh, that's a good product. Your A+ listing is great. And then you land on other images and you're like, they have built a brand and I can resonate with this. If I purchase this product, it's saying I am this person. And there's something that just gets you excited about oh man, if I wear this for running, I'm gonna be this person now. So you can build it. It's hard to build that. It's hard. And that's outside, I know it when I see it. I don't know if I could build it. I know it when I see it though. So if you can get that, you can launch premium. But again, it takes effort to be able to launch premium.
Yes, I think I had a LinkedIn contact and he had a blog and he used to bookmark good A+ examples. So I don't know if his name was George something.
I know George. We talk. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. So his collection is something that people could take a look at. And I think that's a good start at least because we had a brand in the UK and their whole game was made in the UK was a brand for them. They were making products which were normally not imported from China due to the size and everything. And the whole game was they were going to sell much higher than normal people. And all the game was, hey, made in Britain. So then again, you could play that game. But again, it's not like you're going to launch products made in the USA and, hey, I can launch it 10% above market price. You're going to have to see, again, same thing. I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that something someone cares about? You know, maybe their
Right, right,
Q-tips,
right.
no, maybe their clothing, yes. Like you gotta figure it out.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, that was a tough question, I guess. But let's go forward. And what is your opinion about holiday search terms? Do you think everyone should take a look at if they're going to have any holiday related search terms, and what's the best way to, cater for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I've seen people do dump what I call like dump holiday campaigns where it's like gift for mom, gift for dad, gift for, and like you just use concatenate and then just like throw up 1,000 keywords in a campaign and like call it good. We used to run those. Whenever we did them for like general brands, oftentimes we'd run with lower bids on them because we're not expecting cost per clicks. So the reason why that gifting keywords are so hard, is that there are so many more products that can be applicable to a gifting keyword than something that's like pink plastic cup. Like a pink plastic
Right.
cup, you gotta be a pink plastic cup for anyone to give a crap about buying your product. If you search like gift for mom, like just go to Amazon, search gift for mom and look at that page. How many individual products types are there on that page? Like there's probably about one or two max of each type of product.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
And so the name of the game on ranking or visibility or anywhere is sales velocity. And when you're talking sales velocity and you have a keyword that there are so many different brands competing for, the cream rises to the top, and those that have high conversion rates rise to the top. So you are playing against some very big players in a very expensive pond. You can do it. Again, it's a tension between like how much you're willing to pay for it. Are you cool to take a loss? Now, if you can sustain the loss and you can rank high on something, sometimes you can make the evaluation that the end result in sales volume by being at the top is worth for me to play. It's a gamble. Do you have the money to lose on that gamble? That's the first thing you should be evaluating. And the second one is just how well do you fit into giftable spaces? I mean, there's a lot of people like, oh, I could totally be a giftable keyword. You could, but do you want to pay to try and figure out if the market likes you, or do you want to just play your game? Another great way to figure out your own holiday search terms is to take a look. If you've been archiving your search term reports, that's the best place to look year over year, or you can just start routinely pulling your search term reports. You will find holiday keywords in there, most likely, if you're somewhat applicable. And then you could just build off of that list. Now, that takes time to get the feedback, so I would be evaluating it, relatively frequently.
Right.
Another good thing I've seen is like say low bid broad keywords with like like single keyword like gift kind of to like scrape those. Those oftentimes get absolutely no impressions, so those tests are kind of It doesn't hurt. I will say if you want to just start low and try it, it's not going to hurt anything to have it in there,
Right.
providing you have like some sort of fail safe in like bids or budget or something that like if it pops off, all of a sudden you don't go in tomorrow and you spent like $500 on one keyword, because potentially that could happen. So put some sort of fail safe on it, I would say. If you want to
Mhm.
run the test too, if you have very limited time, I don't think it's going to hurt you to not.
Right. Okay. That's a very detailed answer. I didn't expect that actually. I thought, we'll stick with the broad modifiers only. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So, last question that I have
Mm.
for you. Let's say there's a brand and they did like maybe like 1 million this year. Okay. And they come to you and say, hey, we want to do 2 million next year. Okay. Let's just leave the Q4 right now. Hey, we did good in the Q4, we did a million, and this year maybe 5 million, but we want to double down next year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think factors in that equation? That's the first question. And what can they do about it? Or what can often be something that they look at in terms of, hey, this could be done so that we get to that number? What are some factors that they need to look at?
That is a great question. And it's a hard one. So it's probably gonna
Yeah.
have a long answer. Okay, so a couple factors you want to do so this is double, right? So you're gonna
Right.
have to double everything.
Right.
What's the potential to double? How much of your market share do you currently have? If you
Right.
have pretty much all of the market share for something, there's nowhere up from there for those products.
Right.
So the first thing I would do is I would evaluate the product groups they have.
Okay.
And I would say, what's my 80/20 on this?
Okay.
That's one thing I love to do. So I love to do, when I say product groups, I'm talking about individual listings because you're going to have variations. I'm looking at it on a listing level. So I
Right.
would say you can go into business reports, pull that at a parent ASIN level,
Mm-hmm.
look at your total sales for that product, sum up the total sales, and then take the individual product sales, like parent ASIN divided by total. That will give you a percentage. That is what percentage of my total account sales is this product driving for me. So that's going to
Right.
give you what your top stuff is, right? So if you can double the top 80, that effectively doubles the account.
Right.
So you want to take a look at that number. You want to take a look at what kind of market share you have for those. How much wiggle room do I have here? How much wiggle room do I think I have there? Because you could double your bottom product and do absolutely squat for your bottom line, like if we're being honest. So you probably don't want to think about doubling everything. You want to think about doubling the things that have the highest impact on the account. And that's where you're
Right.
going to leverage. So then at that point, you take a look at, okay, so maybe my top product I have maximized. What about number 2? What about number 3? Where is my ranking search query impression or search query reports going to be phenomenal for this? Like, what are my
Yeah.
top keywords? What kind of market share do I have on those keywords? How much can I push? Another thing you want to evaluate, because you said keeping in mind profitability, how profitable am I already on these products? And what we're assuming, and I'm coming from the ads perspective, we're going to have to push more on ads.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the temporary, you will see a
Right.
decrease in profitability. You just will. It's going to happen. Even if we are increasing your, say, keyword ranking for something, we're still paying more. We're not yet where we need to be. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. So you have to be able to hold your breath
Right.
to hit that sales number. And then you're going to get there and you're going to evaluate, hey, given the sales velocity of top keyword, what does this look like? How's my profitability? Can we pull back and maintain? That's a whole nother ballgame. But yeah, so you just want to see like, hey, what is my top stuff doing? How can I increase it? It's not always ads. The other thing you can look at in search query reports is what is like your, what is it called? Like product purchase, or like basically your conversion rate.
Yeah.
So look at your conversion rates, use brand metrics inside the ad console. What is my conversion rate versus my category?
Right.
How does that look? If you have a very low conversion rate and you can raise it a couple points, that's also going to add to the bottom line. So these things need to work in tandem. You probably need to come to your like account manager, whoever's managing your ads, like, hey, we want to double. Cool. What's our play on ads? What's our play in product strategy? How can we work these two in tandem? Because if you can work conversion rates in tandem, all of a sudden everything when you're doing with the ads, goes up. Say you increase 20%, then you increase 20% on the ads. All of a sudden your ads are converting well. It becomes like this huge flywheel, and it can be done. It requires taking an honest look at where you are, an honest look at what
Right.
your market potential is, and an honest look in what you're okay with paying to get there. And another factor might just be if you are comfortable with where you are with your current product line, maybe you need to look at expanding it. Because I think that's something that's not often talked about, is
Right.
that a lot of times people say, hey, I want to double, I want to double, I want to double. Great. Are you cool with profitability going down for us to double? No. Okay, well then I can't do that. So I'm stuck. Like I'll continue to push as much as I can, but if you're telling me profits are what's are important, I can't push harder without losing money. And
Right.
so at that point, either you need to just be okay with that, or you can try launching additional product lines to be able to push further into the market. And then that could also increase you. So I think you just need to take a look at where you are, what the potential is, and then game plan a way. Either be okay with increasing profitability a little bit, okay with launching more products. Can we push harder in the market and test? You just got to figure that out.
Right. So just to follow up on the last part of the answer. So when you say adding new products, okay. So what would you say, let's say, if I have a product that's doing number 2, number 3 in the market right now, decent market share, would you prefer to go and kill in that same market and launch another product over there, so I have 2 listings in the search result page, or would you just prefer a new product? and what factors do we have to consider that for that?
Yeah. So you said a new product is in like a variation product versus a standalone?
I was thinking a new standalone, because we have to like get two different positions for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you're saying, do you launch in the same exact market going after the same keywords, or do you launch
Right.
like completely different product? I would say, so if you are a brand owner that knows your market very well, I do like launching different like styles of the same product. I think it's great because you at this point, like if you're a savvy brand owner, there are people who just launch and call it good. Please don't be one of those people if you want to win. But you should know your audience. You have been looking at your returns, like, oh my goodness, my return rate one goes up. Oh crap, the
Right.
stitching on this one's like maybe not that great. Maybe you can launch a premium item of yours. Maybe it's a little bit higher in cost, but like you've solved for everything and recognize, okay, so my cost of goods have to go up because I have, better production on this one. But I feel like I could bring this to market, and just looking, like you're constantly analyzing your competitors. Hey, what are they doing? Is this more or less? If you are in a market that's playing like a pricing game at this point, like there is no room for a top competitor, there is nothing, like it's like a race to the bottom. Yeah, that's a market you probably want to get out of.
Right.
But if there's room in the market for you to bring something else to the market that the market wants,
Right.
I would say do that. The other thing I would want to evaluate is what is like, you might call like market depth, or how much so this would be, what's the search volume on your top keywords? How well do you play on the search volume for the top keywords? How
Right.
many like long tail variations or like variations of the main keywords do I have with decent search volume? So for
Right.
instance, if you're playing in a market where there's like one top keyword, everybody's hitting that keyword, cost per click is insane, and there's nothing else in the market that even comes close to that one, and that's the only one, you're competing for that only one. Now you can still have two of your products show up and there's still that, but you're playing in a much smaller pond versus
Right.
if you have like a huge pond, there's a lot more places that you can get into it. So that's a couple of factors I would say, is like, how tight is it? Is it a race to the bottom? If it is, don't double
Get out.
down. Find something else. And if you think that there's enough shopper pool to be
Right.
able to just bring something else instead of them saying, I already got one of those, I need one.
Right. Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for having that detailed answer again. And that's pretty much it from my side. And hopefully we're gonna have some comments as well, and we'll answer them in the comment section. And
Awesome. Yeah.
now, thank you so much for taking the time out to answer those very difficult questions, I guess. But hopefully these can be very helpful for the community. And thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, of course. It's been a pleasure.